Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Agostinho Zinga Show with me, your host, Agostinho Zinga. And this is episode number 424. That's cuatro, dos, cuatro. ¿Cómo estás, mi amigos? Bien? Vale. If it's your first time, check out the show via YouTube. Make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe, leave me a comment down below. If you're listening to the show via the podcast app, please leave me a 5-star review. Share the show, download it, staple it to your forehead, send it to all your friends, attach it into an invite on an application somewhere. Whatever you got to do, spread the word, get it out there. I very much appreciate it. Support via Patreon is always more than welcome. Like I mentioned before, Patreon subscribers get one bonus episode only via Patreon only for little as £1 or the equivalent of $1 in your respective countries. You get an episode of the Agostinho Zinga Show, a bonus episode only available via Patreon. We talk about some more racier subjects. I give you maybe some more unfiltered opinions on topics that you never think I would touch. Go on patreon.com/Agostinho. New content coming on there this week. So sign up there, don't delay, get involved. This week, for as little as £1, you can get access to my bonus shows only available to Patreon subscribers at patreon.com/Agostinho, patreon.com/Agostinho. Get on there, subscribe today, do not delay. Here we are. Hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are good. We're now in the weekend, enjoying our lives as we can, doing the best we can with the time we have available. I hope you are rested, well hydrated, and lubricated, and all that malarkey. What have I been doing? The running has kind of gone off a bit of a cliff. I'm going to get back onto it again on Monday. Last time I went for a run was like, Wednesday or something, and it's now Saturday, which is way too long. But I'm not planning. I will do a bit of an experiment next week. I want to do 7 days of running. I want to do a minimum of 3 miles of running each day on the same time a day, the same time per day, basically when I wake up in the morning. And I want to just see how my body reacts, because I need to get it back into some flow of like running and getting my heart rate up to a certain level, because this sort of like sedentary lifestyle where I'm just watching movies and reading loads of books and watching documentaries and catching up on social media isn't the best way to go about living. I need to refine that spark, relight that fire, relight the fire. Right, I need to do that. ASAP. I'm sure others are probably going through the same thing, but I'm going to run a little experiment because I love doing those little things. So this time next week, I should have a review and an update as to how I'm getting on. But the plan is to do, or not the plan, what I'm going to execute is running 3 miles per day for 7 days, Monday to Sunday, and I want to see how my body reacts and kind of go from there, because I just need to get back into some level of flow, man. This sedentary lifestyle isn't for me. This is why I'm really anxious and eager for the world to open up, not because I want to go to a club anytime soon, because I'm sure it's not going to happen. Especially in the Tory government here that we live in the UK, those guys are super opposed to any sort of bits of fun. So it's likely that stuff isn't going to be. It's most likely going to be the last things to reopen. I just want to be able to go to the gym again. I want to be able to get a haircut. You know what I mean? I wasn't even, again, if you watch some of the older episodes of the podcast, even from last year, I wasn't really that big on haircuts. I'd get them when I needed to get them, right? If I was going on holiday, if I needed to just spruce up my look, whatever. Mostly because I'm lazy, and also mostly because I consume so much American content, especially when it comes to hip hop and urban culture. And you get to see so many amazing dudes rocking sick haircuts, and it gets you like a bit depressed. And then when you start going to your guy around the corner and he charges you £8 and you end up looking like you just did it yourself, it really kind of breaks your heart. So sometimes I don't want to be disappointed, so I'll just like refuse to get a haircut. Or if I do get one, I'll get one at the point where anything will do. I'll get a haircut at a point where my hair is at where just any amount of cleaning up and sprucing up the edges is going to make it look better. So now at the moment, I found a pretty good guy who I get my haircut from. He's like a Middle Eastern dude. It's funny because it's right next door to like a traditional Caribbean barbershop, and they always sometimes give me a bit of a side eye when I rock up to the Middle Eastern guy, but it's like he's better, right? It's just not even a fact of like I don't want to go and support my fellow brethren, but he's just a better barber. It is what it is. It was like this other barber I used to go to near where I live too, that was next door to a really hipster barbershop, the kind of barbershop that gives you like whiskey, right, and all that sort of shit. And it was really good. It was a bit expensive, and the guy that cut my hair was a Spanish dude. I think he's from Barcelona, but they cut hair amazingly. But I just couldn't be bothered with all the side eye, and I had to. And then one time I did go to the this Caribbean barbershop next door, and it was pretty shit, the haircut, but obviously it was cheaper. So then the next time I went back to the hipster barbershop, I had to take like the back road so that I didn't pass the Caribbean place. That was quite embarrassing. So yeah, that's all I want, man. I want to be able to get a haircut and also want to be able to go to the gym. Um, I was never really, you don't know what you love or what you need until it's gone, and that's one of the big parts of my life that I kind of just need to come back to some sort of level of regularity, and just saying maybe just the ability to go to a pub and just get a pint on a Saturday, right? You just go for a walk, you just get a pint, have a little sit down, watch whatever's on the TV, even if it's cricket. Like the amount of people that are going to be doing that going forward, and that's going to be insane. People, because I remember that used to be a thing where, especially in East London where I live, most of the pubs here are just kind of, inhabited by people who just kind of, it looks like they live there Monday to Friday or Monday to Sunday sometimes, right? And I never really got it. I was like, these guys are weird, alcoholics. You get really judgmental. But then the more you think about it, you think to yourself, like, what is there really to do when you're an adult? What kind of hobbies you actually have? You have your kids, then probably moved out. You might have a wife or a partner still. Maybe not. Maybe you're separated. Maybe they unfortunately passed away. And the one thing that's going to keep you sane is being around people, right? We're social creatures. We need to be around other human beings, even if it's just being in a shopping mall and rubbing shoulders with people as you go and fight over the last pair of large boxer shorts, right? You need to be around someone. You need to be around people, some humans. So the idea of going to a pub on the weekend and just sitting there and kind of looking out the window doesn't seem that much of a bad idea anymore, now that we've been stuck indoors for the best part of a year. Do you know what I mean? So I definitely get it. And I can definitely predict that going once things open up, there's going to be people doing things. People are going to be end up doing things that they probably didn't do to the regularity they did in the past. Like people are probably going to museums and galleries every single weekend, trying to make sure they hit these places just in case it kind of locks up again. Because I didn't even take the gym. I took the gym for granted when it reopened, right? I kind of booked, I think, every day during the week, but then I only went like 5 days during the week. But now I'm just going to go just for the sake of it, even if it's just to get a stretch in. It's good to get out of the house and limber up, whatever it may be. So yeah, man, loads of things have sort of changed, I think, during this lockdown. Loads of perspectives have been shifted. And just again, I think maybe first or second lockdown, there was this idea of like wanderlust and travel FOMO. And you just wanted to go out and explore the world. But I think after the third one, I'm more just like, you know what? Like, I'm not taking for granted just my shores, right, where I live, this little island that we live on now, going to places outside of London more often, going to places like Scotland, Ireland, and visiting or whatever it may be, just taking advantage of this place that I live in and kind of exploring as much as I can, because you never know when that freedom to move around is going to get taken away from you. So yeah, that's the eye-opening take of the day. That was sponsored by Trello. I don't know, somebody, it doesn't matter. Anyway, jam-packed show for you today. Let's get on in. Let's not waste any time. Loads of stuff to get into. Hopefully you've got a drink and something to nibble on as we dive on deep to the show. Number one news, just want to send out my thoughts and prayers and kind of, to his family and stuff, because I'm the only kind of guy who I'm very familiar with from The Only Way Is Essex, because this might have been the last time I watched it. It was a bit of a phenomenon in the UK. It still is at the moment. People are, it's essentially provided a career and a direction for a lot of people who probably wouldn't have had much to kind of look forward to in the entertainment industry for the most part, especially when you consider how classist it is, right? It kind of gave a bit of a scope and a lens, and kind of magnified a side of England that a lot of people kind of maybe turn their noses up a little bit, especially in media. That is obviously The Only Way Is Essex, that basically focused on a group of girls and boys from an Essex region. I think it might have been Chingford or something along those lines, right? They were all in various stages of their career. Some of them were ex-professional footballers, some of them owned beauty salons, some of them were working in PR, some of them were just socialites. But that interaction, that kind of reality TV Kardashian style of viewing, Jersey Shore-ish, real world way of kind of looking into their lifestyles was very eye-opening and kind of resonated with a lot of people across the UK, so much so that it's now become a bit of a global phenomenon. And like I said, most of these people are still kind of riding off of the success of that show. Now, the last time I watched it was when Mick Norcross was on it, and that was, I guess, the era of the Marks and the Gemma Collins and all these kind of people. And then since then I haven't really watched it, because I'm not really a big reality TV fan, but I do remember Mick Norcross coming across really well on the show. He was a bit of a father figure to a lot of the boys on there, gave them a lot of business advice, a lot of advice about family. And that's the thing that I loved about the Don't Anyways Essex. Again, there's a lot of people turning their nose up at it, but I love the idea that as vapid and as materialistic as some of these people might be, I love the fact that all of it is kind of anchored in this idea of having a family, a relationship, having babies, making a business, building a legacy. Whether they were running around and, you know, sleeping with whoever that they could whenever they went to Ibiza, I just love the idea that there was these dudes and guys, these kind of quote unquote, let's say alpha males on TV, who were kind of giving guys a different view and a different goal or a different thing to look up to and to look forward to, or something to emulate, right? Something else that wasn't just like being a flagrant womanizer, right? It was kind of centered around being a bit of a family man and being the head of the family and breadwinner and securing, like I said, securing a legacy, amplifying your voice, giving voice to the unheard, and even some of the people in there, they would always kind of make, whenever they made money, they'd always go back to their sort of area where they lived at to open a barbershop, a salon, a tanning, whatever it may be, right? They did everything kind of in their own place. It wasn't like they were on the show in order to kind of get out of Essex to go live in Primrose Hill or Notting Hill. They were very kind of attached to their roots. And again, like I said, Mick Norcross played a huge part in it. So again, this is from UK Gossip TV. Former Towie star and Sugar Hut owner Mick Norcross found dead at 57. This is the following here. Former Universe Essex star Mick Norcross, 57, had been found dead at his home in Thurrock, Essex. It has been confirmed the Essex businessman is the father of Kirk Norcross, also starred in the ITV reality TV show again. So thoughts go out to Kirk, man. It must be difficult to deal with during this time. Mick was the owner of popular nightclub Sugar Hut, which regularly featured in Towie and hosted many celebrities from footballers to TV stars. But it has been confirmed today that Mick sadly found deceased at his home in Bolton, Thurrock. And again, some pictures of him with his son, and I think this is the last tweet he sent out before he was found dead, was at the end, remind yourself that the best you could do, and this is all that matters. And I think, you know, a lot of, I've said already, I think there's going to be a lot of residual effects of COVID that are going to be felt for years and maybe decades to come. And I think a lot of it that people don't really want to talk about, because I think it maybe is a bit it's a bit like not flagrant, but it seems a bit self-indulgent and it doesn't really seem like that serious. But there's a lot of people in nightlife or in hospitality who are really hurting, because I think throughout this time that we've kind of been locked down, I've come to the realization that there definitely is a there definitely is a difference between people who are like nightlife people and hospitality people and people that are not, right? And I think the tendency to kind of get drawn to that sector of work or that sector of employment or that sector of just recreational activities is definitely something that's kind of intrinsic in some and it's not intrinsic in other people. So to not have the ability to go out and meet randoms, talk at the, you know, in the smoking area, have a drink, get up to wherever in the toilets, you know, go crazy on the dance floor, that's an intrinsic part to some of our lives, and to have that taken away from us is really, really debilitating. And it's probably even more so for somebody that actually is an owner operator, because your entire identity is sort of framed around being the Sugar Hut guy, being the guy that works in hospitality, being the guy that maybe is a bar and restaurant advisor, being somebody that's investing in other places, being somebody that's maybe a mentor to other people coming up. But it's all framed around that entire industry. When that gets taken away from you and you have no recourse, there's no route out, the government loans and the supports aren't really what they need to be. And like I mentioned previously, a lot of those business owners that I've been seeing have been speaking via interviews and stuff. They basically, all of them have kind of said the same thing. They don't really want to take out government handouts. They much prefer to be able to reopen even at a smaller scale and just be able to earn their own keep, because the actual exercise of earning their own keep is what's provided them with some level of sanity. And taking that away and just to letting them collect money via the government, whether it comes to loans or bursaries or grants, isn't necessarily going to fix anything. So those are the effects that are going to be felt for maybe years and decades to come. So it really is on, you know, on us as like a community, I guess, in general, to kind of look out for our friends and family who are associated with this industry, checking on them as much as you can, because these people are suffering in silence, in my opinion. Again, I don't know if this has anything to do with Mick Norcross. I don't want to put any illusions on there. I'm just talking in general, because it does seem to be a high prevalence of these big cases of people. Like there was that guy in Birmingham who's a really big promoter out there who unfortunately passed away too. And again, we don't know the reasons behind it, but I would assume a lot of it, you know, having your entire identity stripped away from you and then having to repivot into another industry again. Because as frivolous and as annoying as nightlife can be in the whole scene, there is something joyous and amazing about being able to carve out a little career for yourself, right? Because it's really difficult to do. How many people have opened bars and restaurants and clubs and they, you know, tank within the first 12 months? How many people have tried to become DJs or agents or open their own booking agency or be a promoter or put on a festival? Loads of people have tried, but it's very difficult to sustain a career in that area, right? To any level of proficiency, it's very difficult to do. So when you finally do achieve it, the gratification is amazing because this is something that you've kind of lived for. This is your life, and then for it to suddenly be stripped away from you, and then you have to pivot to another career that you don't want anything to do with, it just must break people's hearts. And I guess a lot of it must do it because I remember when what's his name? Oh, I forgot the comedian's name, but Joey Diaz's name. What's his name? The really massive dude, obese comedian. It doesn't matter, but one of those really obese stand-up comedians who's friends with Joey Diaz. I remember Joey Diaz basically saying when he passed away that allegedly he might have passed away from a broken heart. Because I think at that time he was going through a divorce, and his ex-wife at the time was alleging that he abused her, and obviously it wasn't true, but she was just kind of throwing that abuse thing out there to kind of speed up the divorce proceedings and allow him and basically force Ralphie May, that's the guy, basically forced Ralphie May into kind of requenting and kind of signing away whatever she wanted in the split of the divorce, right? And he basically said, I think Joe Diaz said something along the lines of like, that really crushed him, right? That really broke him, that this woman that he loved once kind of put out this fake news about him, which essentially ruined his reputation, and he couldn't really live with himself, right? Since then. And he just passed away due to a broken heart. He didn't even do anything to himself. He didn't kind of, what's that thing called? Expire himself in any sort of way. It just, the idea of like being crushed by somebody close to you just took out any amount of life and fight that he had in him. And I'd imagine a lot of that is being felt by a lot of people in the nightlife and hospitality industry. So again, if you have those friends who work in that sector, then definitely try and reach out. If you can, support them in any way possible, because it's going to be a hard, long slog for all of us going forward. And again, RIP Mick Norcross, gone but not forgotten. There's a couple of clips here from him from the show I'll play.
Easy. Thought we could hear a roar.
Do you like it?
I'm glad you went for that, not the Lambo.
Why? This is the best, isn't it?
Yeah, but Lambo's a man's car. It's a bit hard to drive.
This is a man's car.
No, it's a hairdresser's car, mate. Everyone's got them here. It's all over the place.
I'm over the moon with what I've bought.
How much you paid for it?
About 70 grand.
Oh, yeah? About?
70 grand.
Don't really want to tell me the truth?
74.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But I thought you was into property, mate.
Well, I am,
You're talking to me about buying property. Next thing you're driving up. Hey, now, it ain't going to make you any money, is it? It's going to lose you money.
No, but I've worked hard, so I thought I'd buy myself something.
Yeah, but all that comes afterwards when you make a bit of money out of doing other things.
No, because I thought when I'm going to view the properties, I want a nice car to drive around in.
And how do you think you're going to get a deal out of someone when you pull up in that?
Are you proud of me, though?
Yeah, really proud of you, mate. Yeah.
No, are you?
Just drive it slow, mate.
But are you proud of me? Can you tell me you are? I've actually gone out and bought myself a car.
I'm a little bit proud of you.
What do you think?
Another one.
Yeah.
No, I paid for it.
Was it a good evening?
She actually wanted to pay for it, believe it or not.
She probably said she wanted to pay for it, but she
telling
really
you.
wouldn't have.
I had a fight over her.
Bollocks!
Yeah, don't keep swearing. Didn't bring you up to swear like that, did I? Hey, you've got a young man here. He doesn't want to hear you swearing like that.
That's right. That's true. But I'm a kid. I'm allowed to be a little bit rebellious.
Not really a kid, are you? Flying around in a Ferrari is not really a kid's toy, is it?
Worked hard for it, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'll pay.
Last one.
Crept right up behind me then. I didn't even hear you slipping in there.
Certainly, mate.
You all right?
Yeah, good, you?
Yeah, good, mate.
Got my rays on, alright, but it's raining.
Looking cool, mate. Looking cool.
New range?
What was that? That was an handshake. How did it go?
Wait.
Fuck, not another.
One of them ones.
Look at
What's
this
that
shade you
then?
got on it. Yeah, new range.
New range, navy blue as well. So splashing your cash, Mick.
You got it, haven't you? You got to splash the cash a little bit.
Mate.
It's got to be done, mate.
Ain't gonna take your car out of date soon, you?
Yeah, that cost me a few quid, didn't it? I'm a bit nervous really about that.
Oh,
Yeah, not knowing what we're going to be doing.
You fancy it, honestly.
She's all right.
You do fancy it, didn't you?
No.
You don't.
No,
Man, R.I.P. Mick, man. Honestly, man, gone but not forgotten, man. Top man. Again, thoughts and prayers go out to his family and friends, man. What a sad situation all around. Moving on. What else do we have to speak about here quickly? Ooh, I watched this actually. I recommend, please, for the love of God, if you're into watching movies during this lockdown. I know a lot of people have found it hard to kind of concentrate and watch these things on your laptop, whatever it may be. But I implore you to watch this movie called Hell or High Water. It's such a clever and interesting flip and take on like old westerns, kind of done in a contemporary way. It's about these two brothers who are basically down on their luck. And again, the expert part of it is that they don't do too much flashback in. It's just what you see in the current moment, and they're basically telling their story. But essentially, two downbeat brothers who are both down their luck decide to go around and rob a bunch of banks in order to raise the amount of money so that one of them can basically, stabilize their family and secure the land of the farm that they were both brought up in, because I think they found some oil underneath there, right? So they want to make sure that they buy the land back from the bank before the bank realizes it, so they go and rob all these banks at the time, right? And it kind of follows these two brothers and also follows these two older police officers who are sort of enlisted to kind of go and kind of catch them along the way. And it is frighteningly good. I don't know how I found out about it. I think I might found out about it via a podcast. It came out in 2016. It's called Hell or High Water. It's directed by David Mackenzie. I'm not sure what else he directed. Let's see, what else did David Mackenzie direct here? Other movies, he did Outlaw King. I'm actually started to watch his other films. He did Outlaw King. He also did Starred Up and a movie called Perfect Sense. But definitely recommend you check out Hell or High Water. Chris Pine, one of my favorite actors in this industry. He's really good in it. But again, superbly done movie. Some of the car chase scenes are flipping sublime. Really great camera work. I really recommend you check it out. Hell or High Water, 2016. It's a thriller, but mostly a western, kind of done in a contemporary way. If you're into that sort of stuff, definitely check it out. Definitely one of my movies to check out this weekend if you have the time. Going forward, talking about amazing things that I've seen over the weekend. Virgil Abloh debuted his Fall 21 collection with Louis Vuitton for their menswear, and it was quite possibly one of the best collections that he's ever done, like hands down. Maybe up there with the first Off-White collection that he did. And remember that one where there was a graffiti artist that was spraying some of the things on the clothes and shit? There was just a moment in time that was, right? And maybe the one where Ian Connor ran down the runway. I was there actually when that happened. That was my actually first Paris Fashion Week show, the one where Ian Connor sort of ran down the runway and sort of hand in hand with Virgil. But in terms of energy, in terms of production of show, and in terms of just the quality of the clothes, this is definitely his pinnacle of what he's trying to express. And a lot of it might come to a surprise to some people, because I know some people have kind of written him off as a designer. I've already said my doubts and my frustrations with some of the stuff that he does, but I think overall you have to give the guy a lot of credit for being able to, number one, bounce back from adversity, and number two, take some of the criticism, constructive especially, that's pointed towards him, use it and kind of use it in a very purposeful and not performative way, right? He gets criticized for about certain things, whether it comes to Black Lives Matter stuff, whatever it may be, and he doesn't do anything performative. He doesn't just sign a check and keep it bouncing. He sets up an initiative. He kind of props up and kind of promotes other Black voices. He does all this kind of extra stuff that someone in his position probably shouldn't do, right? You shouldn't be answering or kind of listening to the crowd in that extent, but he's so sort of, I think that's his special power in terms of, maybe some of the other designers in his class, like the Demners and other people, kind of separate themselves from some of the other people. Maybe let's forget the skill levels, right? Just in terms of their ability to sort of like synthesize what's going on in the collective consciousness and kind of feed it through back to clothes. I think that's what his special actual power is. And I think a lot of it comes via his obsession with kind of listening and reading all the comments and stuff, right? He's very sensitive to that sort of shit. But again, he's not cynical. He doesn't go and start painting everybody as haters. He just kind of uses it as inspiration or as fuel to drive and inform some of his decisions. And what you end up getting is great fashion moments. And this is probably one of the best ones. Number one, to start off with, he put together a fashion film that I actually watched from the beginning to the end. Most fashion films I kind of skip by, or, watch in the background, or don't really pay much attention to. But he actually legitimately made a fashion movie that I actually watched from start to the finish, starring Saul Williams, one of my favorite, I would say, creative forces within the quote-unquote Black community. Somebody who I think doesn't get a lot of credit that he deserves, because he maybe is a little bit flies under the radar. He might have a little bit more of a controversial and harsher tone as he speaks. He's not is not as media trained as others, but he's definitely up there in terms of people that you should definitely be inspired by and take some sort of knowledge of. So let's play a little bit of the clip here. His collection obviously is titled Tourist v Purist. I think a moniker that he kind of has iterated a few times over the years, but let's play a little bit of this fashion movie here so you can get a feel of just how amazing this whole thing was. Put that in full screen. Open it plays. There you go. Take the sound. This opening poem by Saul Williams is so good, man. And again, in case you're watching via the podcast, it's Saul Williams walking through a snowy landscape, decked out head to toe in Louis Vuitton courtesy of Virgil Abloh, of course, looking amazing.
In this white wilderness, the construct of purity is sullied with every step. The evidence I carry, a hidden sun in every breath. My blackest self, whose whitest death is luxury. I am no stranger anymore. The world is love to me. The snow will melt. The ice will thaw. And make it up to me.
It's so good, man. It's so good. It's like a scene out of Westworld or something, man. This looks amazing. Let's fast forward a little bit here.
Take down the walls. Take down.
So well done, man. And Mos Def as well, rapping in it. Just sensationally done.
The narrative.
The casting as well is flipping sublime from front to back. I think this might have to do something with the new stylist that he basically has involved in Louis Vuitton menswear now. The guy called Ib Kamara, who's involved now with Dazed and Confused, I think I saw somewhere in the news. He's definitely elevated Louis Vuitton to another level. This definitely goes to show how important the partnership and relationship is between a lead designer, lead creative, whatever it may be, and a superstar stylist. I forgot who the guy was, but there's this I think back to like Lotta and Demna in the early days of Vetements, the early days of Balenciaga. Part of the reason why that brand established itself, or the brand established itself at the way it was because those two were operating at such a high frequency in combination that they kind of elevated whatever clothes that they were making to a whole other level. Because I'm sure as a stylist, you don't just get the clothes on the day of the runway. You definitely play a part in terms of informing some final decisions in terms of cut, selections, finishing, whatever it may be. Putting things together can just kind of elevate to a whole different level. I think back to, I forgot who the stylist was during Marc Jacobs's time as well. But there's a lot of kind of great partnerships that exist, and this is definitely one of them that sort of lends credence to the fact that you need to have a great team around you to really elevate yourself. Because I've always been a big believer that the actual greatness of Virgil is obviously his ability to synthesize all the information that he's sort of around him and the sort of all the kind of inputs that he's kind of getting as he's kind of traversing through his journey. But it's also his ability to kind of ideate at such a high level, right? He puts out so much shit, right? Consistently, collaborations, little projects. He spoke about, I think in his Instagram stories, about how he enjoys putting together just a staff tease. He spends an absorbent amount of time putting together staff tease and all this sort of stuff, right? He does so much stuff, from the DJ and all this sort of shit, right? I think it's necessary, especially when he's operating at the high fashion level, to have somebody that he can maybe offset some ideas with and bounce some stuff off of, because obviously in his position no one's going to say no to him, but to have somebody else to kind of counteract some stuff and kind of, you know, bounce ideas off of, steer each other in one direction, pull each other back here and there, maybe let off the chains here and there. I think that's very, very important. You're definitely seeing the fruits of it going forward. And as this partnership kind of grows and relationship gets more stronger and they start to know each other a bit more, you're definitely going to see the best of Virgil coming forth. Because I still think that's part of the reason why, in my opinion, his off-white collections are so patchy, because there's not really that great stylist that kind of sits there. That Christine Santera woman, I'm not really the biggest fan of the stuff that she's done with Off-White in terms of the styling stuff. The stuff that she's done on that, she's got a collection that she puts together, this sort of like wardrobe staple thing where you basically buy an entire collection of a wardrobe, whether it's like an overcoat, a suit, a great tracksuit, you know, a nice shirt. She's got a really good taste level and eye there, but for some reason she doesn't seem to be able to kind of take whatever aesthetic that she has with that brand and maybe somehow synthesize it in stuff she's doing with Off-White. But anyway, that aside, I just think he basically needs another creative partner to kind of link up with him on Off-White, and you're definitely going to see the best of his work going forward if that continues.
Unravel the mystery.
So good, man.
Make it up to me. Make space for me. And all the spaces in between.
The boots, like this renegade cowboy look, all the hats. Obviously the kilts are a big thing. We're going to see a lot of that probably going forward in the new seasons. I like the straps on the bags. Maybe they're going to be iterated out into belts. I'm going to be a big fan of that if that happens. Again, the cowboy boots, loads of the skirts and kilts going forward. There might be a little bit of a trend going forward with that. I saw a video. What video was it? It might have been an ASAP Rocky video for the new for the ASAP Mob tape or something, right? I saw on YouTube he was wearing a kilt without trousers underneath it, so that might be a thing going forward in as terms of a trend. That would be pretty sexy. People ideate it out a lot more, see the interpretations of it going forward. Obviously the baseball caps, the sunglasses look epic. It just looks so good, all of it. Let's fast forward a little bit more.
Morrison, Joplin, Du Bois, Clark, Jacqueline, Shakur.
Saul Williams smashed it,
Those who
man.
burn, those to the flame, and the countless unnamed.
So good. The styling's incredible. I love this bit. I don't know how. I don't know if this is edited. This bit where they kind of all rub up against each other, or if it's actually them doing it in real time. But let me see if I can fast forward it a bit. It's this bit here. Where is it? Where it's here. Where it's all like all cash. That looks so cool, man.
Say you gotta break your back to earn your day of leisure.
They're sort of all like overlapping against kind of really tightly next to each other. The choreography is amazing. Again, it might be choreography. It might just be something they've done kind of after effect on some sort of, you know, editing software. But regardless, it looks flipping sick, man.
So when your back is broken, you gonna need that leisure day.
Like they're kind of repelling off each other like magnets. You know what I mean?
Pulse in the palm, perfect job. Smoke on your throat so you know.
So yeah, anyway, the collection's amazing. You know what? You know the vibes. So let's go back to the actual slideshow. Go quickly flick through some of the actual images themselves of the collection, and we can move on to some Rick Owens. So yeah, so this is it. Obviously, you see on the screen up to 70 looks of quite a few. Not as much as Vetements. They did 165, but still quite a few here. Loads of great stuff. The tailoring that I thought was probably one of Virgil's weakest things has sort of improved or looked better with maybe styling or maybe some tweaking here and there. It just looks much better. Maybe it's just an experience thing too, as you get used to your house and your atelier and the people that you're working with, they kind of interpret your language a little bit better. The relationship starts to build, but it just looks sensational. Someone on Twitter mentioned that it looks, it's giving them very Parisian vibes, like, you know, sort of like the West African Congolese sort of style of dressing, and I can definitely see that. A lot of my kind of quasi uncles would definitely be rocking a lot of this stuff, maybe more Yoji Yamamoto style, but definitely rocking it. I love this kilt thing, man. This is definitely something that I'd love to kind of incorporate in my looks going forward. I've already worn like the kind of Rick Owens skirt short look thing, and that's been a pretty liberating experience to have like a little skirt short look thing going on. But to kind of evolve that and wear a straight up kilt is going to be a bit of a game changer, but I love it nonetheless. And again, just really, really, really good. Like, I thought this guy looked a bit like Bad Bunny, innit? Really, really amazing, innit? Got this sort of Michael Jackson-esque jacket here, see-through. Look at this. All this stuff looks so good, man. The bags, the suiting, Obviously this jacket is a sensational, right? These are all like these amazing landmarks, I guess stuff that's to do with New York, I'm assuming, buildings or whatever, or maybe all across the United States. Maybe a sort of like an ode to Virgil's, you know, American roots. And then there's another one that's mostly Paris, so the kind of the American Paris connection really looks amazing. Again, I can't wait until Walter Van Beerdick decides to come out and pop his head out the parapet and basically accuse Virgil of stealing his idea because he decided to stuff some things and attach them to jackets. Amazing. Again, great color choices and combinations. I love everything about this. Really, really well done. Like, that look is so good, man. There's a look here which I thought was very much up Bloody Oris's lane. That guy that wears all the mad clothes, right? Look, that's definitely something you would imagine Bloody Oris to wear, right? Like from the glasses to the hat to the biker jacket and trousers and boots. That is definitely him all over. Again, great stuff. The modeling, the casting is just great. Look at that jacket. And then this is my favorite one, right? These are like all the landmarks, I guess, and monuments in Paris, mostly, it looks like. I thought at first it was landmarks around the world, but still, I love this idea of this kind of global traveler, right? This kind of ode to days gone by, but also maybe something quite hopeful that we're going to one day soon go out there again. And these landmarks, the significance of these landmarks are going to be kind of reiterated to us in some respect, right? I can take them for granted, right? Don't we? We take these sort of tourist landmarks for granted. We don't necessarily go and check them out and spend an evening or an afternoon taking pictures or sitting underneath them or just staring at them aimlessly. But I think now that we've been kind of reduced to staying indoors and staying in our cramped apartments, especially on my regard, I just want to go out there and see these kind of nonsense buildings, right? The House of Commons, the bloody Big Ben, London Bridge, the Millennium, you know, the London Eye. All these things are really have kind of the significance is sort of heightened, obviously, during this time that we've kind of been away from them. And I think this is a very, very, very well done jacket all in all. A definitely great ode to Louis Vuitton and to Paris specifically. Oh, and it's got the harness. It's got the padded harness too, which is definitely a great elevation there. But I think in general, look at the tailoring, man. It looks far better than before. The stuff just sits nicer on the body. Obviously, he prefers this sort of like stacked, bunched bottom here that I'm a big fan of, slightly flared too. The boots, the cowboy boots, you don't even have to say anything about them. They look sensational. The bags look great too. But I think the tailoring has really, really upped the levels, man. It looks really, really good. So many great looks, and I'd wear so much of this stuff. It just all looks sensational. Again, look at that. That's a cozy look, man. Cozy look. So good. X off that one, and then we can go back quickly to the review here, what they had to say about this. The review here, courtesy of Sarah Moa. She says the following. If we scroll down, can you let me scroll down? Yes, there we go. It says here, there are no accidents of timing in history and culture. Whether or not you had prior insight into how yesterday's inauguration of President Joe Biden was planned, Virgil Abloh's launch of his Louis Vuitton collection today also resounded with the poetry and intellectual prowess of Black consciousness taking its rightful place. His sixth collection, named Ebonics, came with a film directed by Josh Johnson that was powerfully and centered on a spoken word performance and a call to radical thinking through the lens of menswear. And again, usually all this sort of like wafty, hedonistic stuff that Virgil kind of imbues his collection with can get a bit lost on me. But I think now, with the time that we're living in and just the significance of his position has been kind of, I don't know, it's sort of like, it's a reminder of how revolutionary it is to have somebody of his background in a position that he's in, speaking to the people that he's speaking to and putting out work at this level, and just the pressures that kind of exist on top of him, more so than your, again, I don't like to get in a race thing, but there just is a difference in it in terms of the responsibility that he has in terms of what he's doing with his collection at Louis Vuitton. He just needs to do so much more than just kind of indulge himself. It's sort of like he needs to do this it's sort of like he needs to put a lasting legacy down in the ground for Black creatives, you know, from now until, you know, the end of time, which is a real heavy burden to have on your shoulders, especially with the scrutiny that comes at him season in, season out, with plagiarism, all this sort of stuff. And then to pull out this out of the hat after everything that's gone on last year with all the donation stuff is just sensational, I think, going forward. It continues that amongst the words delivered by Saul Williams and Kai Isaiah Jamal were these: deconstruct the narrative, make spaces, take down the walls, unravel the mysteries, make it up to me. As Black people, as trans people, as marginalized people, The world is here for our taking, and it's for it takes so much from us. That line really stuck for me. Read it again. As black people, as trans people, as marginalized people, the world is here for our taking, for it takes so much for us. And I guess that is what I like about this sort of message. A little bit radical, but I like the idea of taking the thing and not actually waiting for handouts, not waiting for a position to be created for you, but going out there and doing the work, putting it out on your own dime. Because this is the time, innit? We're living lockdown. You have all the time in the world to do your creative projects, to put out your little brand, to put out a little collection, to put out little ideas and concepts of stuff that you're kind of thinking about, and just sort of put it out into the ether and hope that signal gets boosted or connected with somebody that you can kind of connect with, who you can then build a community with and go on from there. Was said Abloh was mustered an educational encyclopedia of answers to the ineluctable questions that have been troubling all designers over the point of fashion, the shows of making clothes in the face of Black Lives Matter movement, and of all the crisis that blew up in humanity's face last year. He says, we're still reeling. He said, we sat through so many heavy conversations in 2020, some so heated that things can't be discussed anymore, but fashion can do this, shows can do this. And I like, again, I'm not sure I really agree with the whole idea that fashion could change the world, but I do like the idea of using your platform to say something meaningful and to put out meaningful work that's going to resonate with people in a way that can add to the conversation. I don't think it's going to actually change anything on it in its own. I think sometimes fashion can be a little bit I don't know, corny in their approach to kind of addressing political and societal issues. I think fashion sometimes is best left. What fashion political statements are best left unsaid. They sort of kind of are intrinsic and kind of imbued in the clothes. I think of somebody like a Phoebe Philo. She kind of always laces little hidden messages in her stuff, or that Celine, that you kind of look back on and think, oh yeah, cool, I get what she was saying there, without actually saying anything too overt. I'm a big fan of that. It continues. There's a lot to unpack, but the Louis Vuitton baggage, some of it in the shape of carrier bags, potato sacks, and an LV cable in the form of a plane, to a symbolic reconfiguration of the masculine archetypes, to the challenges of the ownership of the sources that Abloh built in chaos. It's interesting they keep talking about masculine, right? Archetypes, because there's a lot of that masculine archetypes in the Rick Owens collection I'm going to feature next, where they talk about male aggression. But it continues. He says there are a lot of stories mixing cultures. And from that, a new language will be created. Cool, considered chic and flowing, with floor-length coats and sassy, and easy tailoring, African draped wraps, kilts, and Western hats styled by the deft hand of Ibrahim Kamara. It plainly makes this Abloh's best collection from the house since he arrived in 2018. 100% agree. I guess the first collection was just such a moment, and how he did it with the whole kaleidoscope thing, the moment with Kanye crying, Cardi walking, Playboy Carti walking the show. That was a moment in time, right? But I think this, in terms of what he's basically been put on this earth to do, I think this is definitely the antithesis of it, in my opinion. And I can't wait to see how this kind of evolves and goes on. He says here, and his most autobiographical yet, the exploration of his African heritage and what it means to be a pinnacle of career in Europe as a Black American creative director. He says, when I grew up, my father wore kente cloth with his nothing underneath to family weddings, funerals, and graduations. When he went to an American wedding, he wore a suit. I merged these two together, celebrating my Ghanaian culture. Add the LV patterns to the cloth, draped it with the pair, and compare it again with the tartan checks, and the result is indeed something new. So too the diagonal green and white print on the leather motocross suit. My memory of the wax print fabric my mum had around the house when I was growing up. She was the one who taught me how to sew. She learned it from her tailor in Ghana. Again, loads of stuff. Let's go to the bottom here. It says here, it dovetails into the art heist sub-narrative of the film, the poetic, powerful, multidisciplinary piece made entirely by the diverse crew of talent Abloh has brought to work with him at Vuitton. Its theme, shot between a gallery-like space and a Swiss mountains, is based on James Baldwin's 1953 essay, A Stranger in the Village. The writer's reflection on how it felt to be looked at in the midst of white culture as a Black American artist in Switzerland. So that's amazing. Imagine the budget in Louis Vuitton that he could film. He could film a fashion film in the mountains of Switzerland based off a poem written by James Baldwin in the 1950s, talking about his experience being a Black intellectual in Switzerland. The budget goes crazy at Louis Vuitton. It continues. It's beautiful. The clothes are great, and they will doubtless trigger even more fandom for Abloh's Louis Vuitton menswear, even amidst the pandemic. As for the stepping up to make a bigger statement with fashion and its critically sensitive moment of change, he says, I have a responsibility. We said we want diversity. 2020, didn't we? We said that in 2020. Making change means making these changes. I don't want to look back and say I turned a blind eye, but he concludes, I'm an optimist. The future is yet to be decided. And again, that's one thing you cannot deny about the guy. He goes out of his way to put people on platforms. He provides them with a space and an opportunity to amplify their voice, to express their creative talent again and again and again. Some stuff he might do might be a bit clunky. Some stuff might come across a little bit corny. Some stuff might come across a little bit plagiarized, but regardless, his ability to consistently put other people on is unparalleled. It definitely, especially in his position, most people just kind of run through the door and don't turn back. He's legitimately holding the door and making sure everybody gets in. It's definitely something to be heralded. And again, like I said, this is easily his best collection to date. Virgil Abloh for Louis Vuitton for winter 2021. Check it out. It's great. Moving on, next one that I thought was sensational. One of my favorite collections of the season has to go to Rick Owens. Rick Owens, right? All took place, I'm guessing, in Venice, Italy. I'm not sure why. I think they must have an apartment there that they are all situated at, because I follow this guy here, Tyrone. I forgot his last name. It doesn't matter, right? Tyrone is basically one of the lead creatives. He's a design consultant and muse at Rick Owens. I'm gonna say you might have started off as just a muse and a model, and then through his connection and relationship with him, he has progressed into being a lead designer. Yeah, Tyrone Dillon. Follow him on Instagram. He's a great follow. If you want to find out how to wear Rick, because I've been, some people can think Rick Owens is a little bit more avant-garde, which I don't think it is anymore. It's sort of kind of gotten a bit, maybe because we've gotten used to the silhouettes and the textures and the shapes and stuff, but Rick Owens isn't kind of as outlandish and avant-garde as people try and make it out to be. It's pretty easy to wear, but if you're a bit skeptical about it, definitely check out Tyrone Dillon. Tyrone spelled TYRONE_DYLAN. He's a great follow on Instagram, probably one of the best Rick Owens muses that have ever existed. He wears Rick Owens so well day to day, it just makes you want to buy everything that they kind of make. He wears clothes so well sometimes that you even want to buy those little Versace chain link panties that they make, right? They're about 50 quid each, I think, or 100, and he wears them amazing. Of course, he's flipping bodied up to the teat, right? As you can see here, right? He's, the flipping, the abs go crazy, but still check him out in terms of collection. So full 21, it all took place, I'm gonna say, somewhere in Venice, in Italy. Amazing outdoor show, looked sensational from the time from going in. The soundtrack was done by Ghostmane, that rapper from Florida who you might associate with that kind of horrorcore sort of like rap thing. I really loved it. I'll play a little bit of the video here so you can see what I mean. Let's blow it up there. You listen to it in the background. Imagine being part of the Rick Owens team behind the scenes. That's Rick there, standing in front with obviously wearing those amazing heels. And I love what I love about these heels that are really cool that people don't really talk about too often. The translucent heel sort of makes them look similar to those boots that Alexander McQueen designed, that Lady Gaga made famous for her tour. Remember those sort of like weird amorphic, sort of like weird Saru from Star Trek Discovery boots? It looks similar to that, right? But this has just got a classic heel at the back. And I love that he's got this new face mask with like a shield at the front that sort of looks similar to like a Arabian princess or something, right? That that kind of flipping belly dancer chic, where you kind of hide the identity of the person's face with this sort of like drapey shawl that goes off. I think there's a mask underneath, and then like a clear fabric, a kind of sheer fabric that goes on the top. It looks really cool. Look at the boots, so good. Woo. And then you see the Rick Owens Converse collaborations that are due to come out soon. Looks sensational. And I think, let's move on, but still show some of the looks. I think Rick mentions in the show too, this might be one of the most accessible Rick Owens collections I've seen in a very long time. It looks very dark shadowish. The shapes, the jackets, the the selection of clothes, right? And a lot of it, I guess he says, has to do with male aggression, but it also, I think, has to do a lot with the casting. Even though you can't see some of the guys' faces, they look very young. They look kind of under 25 or something. So it kind of gives it a little bit more of a contemporary modern feel, and just something that you can kind of wear really easily. I can see myself wearing the entire collection. So obviously the first look here with Tyron Dillon looks sensational. This jumpsuit here looks great. Again, you've got this great veil mask thing going on here that I'm a big fan of. Of course, the Converse Rick Owens collaborations that are gonna go crazy. These are definitely gonna sell out very, very quickly. I love them. The sort of exaggerated toe, the square toe put in the front, the same sort of shape that you see in those massive heels that he's wearing at the moment now. They look sensational. I think they're going to be Dark Shadow. I'm pretty sure he doesn't do Rick Owens trainer collaboration with his own, does he? I'm not so sure, but yeah, regardless, looks super cool. These jumpers with the holes on it remind me of a collection. Do you remember that collection where the guy Willie was hanging out? I forgot which one it was. I might have been 2016 or something, but that's definitely something from previous collections, which Rick Owens does a lot. He'll self-reference a lot of past collections and sort of bring stuff forward and change things a little bit here and there. So I love that idea as well. And again, some Converses. You've got the boots here, knee high, and this sort of amazing faux fur fabric, whatever it is, looks sensationally good. Keep going here. You got Ghostmane himself, I think, here, because I recognize his tattoo, wearing some of the clothes too, looking sensational. Loads of really great stuff. I think my kind of standout pieces were definitely this hooded jacket here that goes all the way up. It looks incredible. Those boots too look absolutely great that he's wearing there. They look kind of one of my favorites I've seen. Go and continue on. Loads of great jackets, right? This jacket is amazing. This shearling coat, knee length coat, or past the knee, is absolutely sensational with the gloves attached to it. Another shearling jacket that looks great. Bomber jackets go off. Like, look, especially this paneled bomber jacket here with the black and white. I can definitely see Playboy Carti wearing this very, very soon. The proportions here are amazing. This is something I'm definitely looking forward to wearing a lot more in the fall. These tight leather jackets with like baggier pants on the bottom just looks so great. An absolutely genius move there. Continue on. Loads of good jumpers. This jacket goes off. This is like an evolution on that rap jacket from last season that sold out everywhere. The jacket, I think that Sanjeev and a few other people from social media, who's the other guy that does that brand, Vuitton, they made this sort of like really popular last season. I'm sure those guys are going to end up copying this jacket as well, because it's really well done. It comes in different colors. You've got in the traditional sort of like a duff bomber jacket. Again, a down coat, sorry. Loads of great jumpers, long coats, cardigans and the like, right? Loads of great stuff, like amazing collection. Like I said, probably one of the more accessible Rick Owens collections I've seen in a very, very, very long time. And then you know what it reminded me of, right? It reminded me of this video that came out in 2019, Paolo Ferreira, Lorenzo Ragazzi, Raving in Paris. It's a track on the channel called Hate, right? The techno channel. And it kind of reminded me a lot of this, the feeling of it, right? These like 4 or 3 vagabonds perusing the streets of Paris. They're either on the way back from a rave to going to an after, or they're going to a rave somewhere in an undisclosed location. It's a really well done video, but it kind of reminds me a lot of the Rick Owens collection and what he basically did. They're running up the stairs, wearing their great clothes. Looking amazing. Obviously, this is a post-COVID, this is a pre-COVID world, right? No mask, you can see people's faces and shit. The pleasure. Bomber jackets, leather jackets, looking great. It's a bit try-hard, don't get me wrong, right? But I love it, man. Dr. Martin boots, Jaden's double stacked. Obviously, you know, regulation black guy joining in the crew. Hey, let's go. Yeah, all right. Waiting to go to the rave. I don't know, for some reason the collection just reminded me a lot of this. I don't know why, it just did. And then if that wasn't good enough, right, the section of people going forward, it kind of reminded, and then I saw this video too of Playboy Carti on Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon recently, wearing head to toe Rick Owens and his whole crew Rick Owens.
Performing Slayer from his #1 album,
Let's
Whole Lotta.
mute this so we don't get negged off. But look how good this looks. Ooh! I could definitely see a lot of the people in that crew wearing this collection. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, definitely one of my favorites going forward. Rick Owens Fall 2021, easily one of the more accessible collections that they put together. Definitely check it out if you're that way inclined. Loads of great looks that are involved in there. Again, the jackets, those boots are so good, man. They're really actually good. I'm actually a big fan of them. Let's see what happens going forward. Cool. Let's move on. What else do we have here to talk about? Let's make sure I have time to carry on talking. Yep, that's about it. I think so. Yeah, that might be it. Okay. Okay. What else do we have here, baby? What else? No. I think that might be it, you know. I think that might be it. Yeah, I think that might be. Yeah, that might be it. Let's leave it there for now. That's the Agostinho Zinga Show episode number 424, I think, right? Or did I say 424? I'm pretty sure I said 424. I think I did say 424. Let's go. Actually, no, let's do one more. Where is it here? Where's that news I want to talk about here? Where is it? Let me just quickly find it for you. Bear with me 1 second. So here we go. So obviously I think most of you are aware that Glastonbury unfortunately had to postpone this year's festival to next year. Once again, there's 2 postponements, one last year, one this year. Obviously for people like myself, you know, nightlife, dance, music, festival, going out people, it's a bit of sad news, but it also needs to have some perspective in terms of what's going forward, in terms of what we have to look forward to going forward, right? Glastonbury being cancelled is a big blow, don't get me wrong, but I still think there's some context that needs to be attached to it to make sure that we don't get too hysterical and don't think that our entire year has been written off. Even though I still think it is, I'm still optimistic that maybe things can change. Anyway, it's a statement here from Glastonbury Festival's Twitter account. It says the following. Let's read it out here in full. Glastonbury Festival statement: with great regret, we must announce that this year's Glastonbury Festival will not take place and that this will be another enforced fallow year for us. In spite of the efforts to move heaven and earth, it has become clear that we cannot and will not be able to have the festival happen. As with last year, we would like to offer all those who secured a ticket in October 2019 the opportunity to roll their £50 deposit over to next year and guarantee the chance to buy a ticket for Glastonbury 2022. We are very appreciative of the faith and trust placed in us with both of the deposits, and we are very confident we can deliver something really special for you in 2022. We thank you for your incredible continued support, and let's look forward to better times ahead. So again, it's a bit upsetting, but I also think, again, perspective needs to be led towards it. The scale of the festival is ridiculous. They essentially take over a village and build another village right next to it. As you can see here from this video that I'm going to play in the background and mute, right? But basically you can see the absolute scale of the festival is absolutely insane here, right? From the size of the stage. Let's actually see this person's statement.
I just want to let you know, in many ways, this show has changed my fucking life drastically.
As you can see, the scale of it is just absolutely insane. So it made sense that this wasn't going to occur this year. It just wasn't feasible. I read somewhere that most festivals need 6 to 8 months lead up time to get ready. And then I've read in other forums that Glastonbury people that sell stuff in the arts and crafts departments are like getting ready, like sometimes December or sometimes earlier, right? Putting their stuff together in terms of ordering suppliers and whatnot. So I'd imagine something like Glastonbury probably needs at least 6 to 8 months, maybe 10 months to get ready ahead of time and lead up. And obviously the insurance as well, I'm sure they try to maybe work out some sort of deal with the government to make sure that if the festival was cancelled for any sort of way, they could maybe claim the money back. I've read reports that it costs anywhere between 10 to 25 million to put the festival on. So loads of costs are cured or attached to it and way too much risk considering what's going on. I still think going forward, there is the possibility of some rogue, independent, slightly more mobile festivals deciding to do their thing later in the year. Because I think once the vaccinations have basically ramped up and we're at a point where people can start socializing, I definitely envisage sometime in August, September, festivals and events happening to some level, whether it's a small scale event. I could definitely see them happening. And then if you kind of added to that, this statement here from number 10, sometime earlier in the year. When was it was written? This was January 10th, right? A few weeks ago. There was a rumor that came out. This is a headline from Daily Mail that I screenshotted. It said the following: Number 10 Men's examining plans to keep bars open for plans to keep bars closed for 5 months with full COVID lockdown until late March as COVID death toll passes 80,000, right? But then the thing to kind of hone in on is this last line here in a subheadline, which says the bank holiday on May 3rd is seen as a more likely date for boosters to reopen. So they're kind of aiming for like a May Day celebration to kind of get us all back out and maybe to boost the economy, give people something to scream and shout about. So if that's the case and the government's looking forward to that kind of May Day date, and they're obviously ramping up the vaccinations, we're still living in lockdown now at the moment, I can still envision actually raves and festivals coming back to some regularity, whether it's a scaled back version of them sometime in the new year. No, sorry, sometime at the tail end of summer. Now if that doesn't happen, I'm pretty sure they're going to be ready to go by next year, of course, going forward with the vaccination. It's definitely going to happen. But like I said, it's upsetting news, but I don't think you should be completely distraught by it. There's still a possibility and opportunity for us to go back out and rave. We just have to kind of sit down and sit tight a little bit more. Like I said, the people that are attached to it, you know, the people that kind of sort out these events, the crew and the people that work behind the scenes, I'm not sure what they're doing during this time, what support they have. Those are the people that really need to kind of look after. Hopefully there's a fund and a grant that those guys can apply for to ensure that they kind of keep their heads above water. But regardless, I'm hoping by, like I said, by the end of summer things change. If not, the beginning of 2022, definitely be able to see large scale of, again, I still think you can go out by the end of this year, but in terms of going out properly like how you did in 2019 to an actual rave, bum to bum with strangers, right, sitting down having fun and shit, I don't think that's going to happen, again, like I said, until next year. Sort of similar to this. Where can I see a video of it? I can't see it. Oh, it doesn't matter. Where is it? Taylor was released. It doesn't matter anyway. But yeah, you know what I mean. Anyway, that's been the Agostinho Zinga Show, episode number 424. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure to have your company. If it's your first time checking out the show, make sure you like, subscribe, click all the links down below. Make sure you follow me on social media. And again, support for your patrons is always more than welcome. And I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Take care. Be safe. Peace.